Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I am Eleonora Salas, Director of Studies at ICANA Binational Center in Córdoba, Argentina. Please tell us in the chat where you are joining us from. Welcome to the third webinar of Teaching Capacity Building 2022, a professional development program sponsored by the US Embassy that we started hosting in 2020 in response to the challenges that we faced at the beginning of the pandemic. The program consists of 15 webinars presented by committed and hardworking English teachers, all from Argentina and all alumni of US-sponsored professional development exchange programs. They are all sharing their experience and best practices as educators and language teachers in their quest to create environments that support engagement for learning. We do believe that no matter where we are in our learning journeys as teachers, we can always learn something from the journey of others. So we sincerely hope that these presentations will inspire you to bring in new perspectives into your current teaching practice, whether it is in person, online, or hybrid, and help you create exciting learning experiences for your students. Our deepest thanks to the US Embassy, all the alumni presenters, and the Argentine network of binational centers for their unconditional support in the organization and delivery of this program. Before I hand the floor to our presenter, just let me remind you to please type all your questions in the question and answer section at the bottom of your screen, because once the presenter has finished, there will be some time to address your questions and comments. We will post a link on the chat to download your certificate of attendance. Now I would like to introduce our presenter for today's webinar, Ana Cecilia Katz. She holds a Master of Arts degree in Applied Linguistics from Facultad de Lenguas, Universidad Nacional de Córdoba. She is a language teacher and a Bachelor in English Language and Literature, graduated from Facultad de Lenguas. Now she is currently teaching at Facultad de Lenguas, English Language 1 and 2, and English Phonetics and Phonology 2. She also works as a teacher educator in a teacher training college, and is a Fulbright scholar as well. Her research interests are multimodality and educational technology applied to English language teaching. Today, she will be presenting Picturebooks and Global Citizenship. In this session, she will introduce some practical ideas about how to use Picturebooks to teach young learners English, empathy, and citizenship, so that they can make an impact on both their local and global realities. Thank you, Cecilia, for sharing all your expertise today with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So let me start sharing. So, can you see the presentation?
Yes, no problem.
Perfect. Okay,
yes,
so
perfect.
Thank you. So, well, first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us, for being here. I want to especially thank Eleonora and Noris, okay, for providing me with this great opportunity to be here together again. We worked together in 2020, the first time that this program was launched. So to be invited back is a great honor and pleasure. So as Eleonora already anticipated, today I am going to talk about, I am going to establish a relationship between Picturebooks and global citizenship. I think that from the period of the COVID pandemic, unfortunately, all the period of wars, Ukraine war currently, and climate change, we know, or we can understand, that we live in a global society. And living in a global society means that we need to face different challenges, and those challenges need to be faced together as one. So we live in a globalized world, and the problems that need or require solution, let's say, supersede the scope of any single country. So what we need to start teaching to our students today is global citizenship education, meaning that we need to understand that every individual action can have an impact on the global sphere. So the agenda for today is to address the topic of global citizenship and then establish a meaningful connection with the Sustainable Development Goals proposed by the UN. We are going to tackle a little bit of the 21st century skills. We are going to provide a definition of Picturebooks, and later on, I am going to provide a very practical perspective and classroom activities that we can put forward with our students. The idea is that by the end of the session, you're going to see how we can tackle such important issues using Picturebooks without disregarding, okay, the teaching of language, in this case of the English language. But if you are teaching any other language, you can also see how Picturebooks can help generally in the teaching of the second language. So let's begin. So let's see, I want to start interacting with the audience. I know that we have some people from different provinces in Argentina. We have people from Ghana and Thailand. So good morning there. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you must be very tired. So thank you very much for being here. My question for you, to see more or less if you have some sort of an idea, what is global citizenship? So if you could share your ideas on the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'm not expecting like a book definition, okay? So try to tell me, what do you think that global citizenship is? What does it entail? Have you ever taught this concept? Sorry. Okay, global citizenship, okay. To know a little bit about different parts of the world. Citizenship, okay, citizens of an international community. Very good, very interesting. So from what I read is like, we get the idea of the global. We have citizens of different communities that come together, okay, in the world. Very good. International communities, understanding. I like also the idea of democratic society. Very good. You know that when we talk about citizen, or the word citizen, the concept of being citizen, it means that you're part of a community and that you have legal rights. Okay, so now is considering the legal rights of all the inhabitants, not because we belong to a specific community, but because we're inhabitants of the world. Very good. Global community. One identity goes beyond the political and geographical borders. Very good. So that's the idea of the global. So very good. Thank you for sharing. So as some of you mentioned, when we talked about the concept of global citizenship, we are going to consider the world as a diverse world. We are going to have a global world that was made out of different communities. And these communities are going to face interconnected challenges. So if we have a topic like pollution, although all the countries tend to produce contamination, we know that there are certain countries that are much more affected than others. Unfortunately, the problem of violation of human rights does affect us all. Inequality, conflict, and power, and for poverty, sorry. for those problems, we need global solutions. So in order to help, or as language teachers, what can be our contribution is transformative education. We need to educate our children for peace, tolerance, diversity, respect for others, the environment, and justice. So promoting global citizenship and sustainable development will allow individuals to embrace their social responsibility to act for the benefit of society and not just their own. So, and these concepts of global citizenship is closely embedded in the Sustainable Development Goals. Are you familiar with this concept? Some of you are. Good. So when we talked about these Sustainable Development Goals, for those who speak Spanish, Objetivos de Desarrollo Sustentable, okay? And like 192 countries have signed this agreement, and the target goal of Sustainable Development Goals is to improving life on Earth. So the idea is to end all forms of poverty, fight inequality, tackle climate change, and ensure that no one is left behind. So in theory, like on paper, these goals look very interesting. You have 17 goals: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education. This is most language teachers will, I think, be oriented towards number 4. Gender equality, clean water, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, then climate action, life below water, life and land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for goals. So what we are going to do today is we are going to work with a story, and we are going to see how with quality education, or at least what I believe is quality education, we can help or we can contribute to reduce inequalities. So with one activity, sometimes you can tackle like different type of goals. So together with the idea of Sustainable Development Goals and education, in order for students to benefit from the knowledge that they can gain from these goals, we need to present them with, or we need to help them develop 20th century skills. So with the 20th century skills, you can see that we are going to have different type of goals: learning skills, literacy skills, space skills, and life skills. When we talk about learning skills, we are going to start considering these ones in detail. So we are going to talk about the 4 C's: critical thinking, finding solution to problems; creativity, thinking outside the box; collaboration, working with others; and communication, talking to others. So you're going to see that during the talk today, I am going to show you how we tackle global citizenship education together with, or let's say, providing our students with the opportunity to develop these skills, okay, using Picturebooks. My proposal today includes, or somehow is related to, using Picturebooks with children, but that is just because I work with children. You can use Picturebooks with any age, okay? Even adults and teenagers love Picturebooks. So later on, I'm going to offer some options that you can use if you're going to work with older students. So the following question would be, what are Picturebooks? Because so far I'm telling you that we are going to work with Picturebooks, but if we do not agree on a common concept, then maybe we are talking about different things. So how would you define a picture book? Okay, books without text, only images. We will see that in a minute. Books that contains only images. Okay, there are books that have more images than texts. These images can foster students' imagination and creativity. Nice. Books based on images and illustrations. They convey a message through a series of pictures. Okay. It is a book that contains only images. Okay. A book with lots of visuals, not necessarily much is the written text. They are books that use words and images to generate meaning. Okay. A book that tells a story. Okay. Very good. Hardly every book with picture books. Okay. I've used them on few occasions. So let's see if we can change that and you can start using them more often. Okay. So text with a small amount of text. Okay. There are books that tell stories with pictures. Okay. And books that tell stories through pictures. Okay. So I think that the use of prepositions is quite telling in this case. So thank you very much for your contributions. So when we talk about picture books, actually picture book would be quite an umbrella term, okay? And definitely some of you are saying that there are books that only have pictures. And we have those type, but those type of books are called wordless picture books, okay? So picture books in itself, okay, and when wordless picture books, okay, those are the books that only tell a message, okay, using pictures. Otherwise, with picture books, you can have, okay, words together with pictures. I'm sure that some of you may be familiar with this book, okay, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which is a very basic, very well-known book. So if you open this book, for instance, let's see over here, you will see that there is a little bit of words, okay? There is a predominance or a wide dominance of the picture, but still we have words, okay? The important thing about a picture book or the picture books that we are going to use today is the interrelationship between the picture and the word, because sometimes the picture and the word may contradict one another, or one or the other will provide much more information than the one that one is presenting, okay? So that would be very important. But before we start discussing, let's say, the components of the picture book, something that is very important, why is that I chose of all the material to work with picture books? And I'm going to quote Barbara Bader here, who has come up with this definition. It says, a picture book is a text and illustrations, total design, an item of manufacture and a commercial product, social, cultural, historic document, okay? So, and these words, I have particularly set them in italics because these are the ones that are much more interesting or appealing to me from this definition. Because if we want to talk about global education, we want to tackle social issues, we need books that are grounded on a specific community and culture. And foremost, an experience for a child. As an art form, it hinges on the interdependence of pictures and words, on the simultaneous displays of two-facing pages, and on the drama of turning page. On its own terms, its possibilities are limitless, okay? And this is what one of you already mentioned. These type of books help us, let's say, foster creativity because the opportunities and the interpretation are limitless. Here are some of the examples of picture books you may know, okay? The one that I already showed you is the one of The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. And if you're already familiar with this book, if not, I'm going to summarize it briefly. This is the story of a caterpillar, okay? Since it's an egg, then you have the caterpillar and becomes a butterfly. And we have all the different ingredients and different foods that this caterpillar eats, okay, in a sequence of days. Then the caterpillar eats too much. So this is a very interesting type of book to tackle, for instance, food or hunger, what are like good things for you to eat, like healthy and unhealthy foods. Then you have the book, for instance, on Susan Laughs by Janie Willis. And this is also a very nice book. This book actually tackles the topic of people with different abilities in a very positive light, okay? So everything is about enjoyment, about what Susan can do, and not what, let's say, the different limitations that a disability can pose for her. And then we have another one that is like one of the newest of the three, that is the picture book Leaf, okay, by Sandra Dickman. And this book is about environmental change, okay? Maybe you can tell me, I don't have access to all these picture books, but still you can find them on YouTube later on. If you want, I can send you the links, okay? And you can have a look at them. You can listen to other people telling the story. And based on that, you can even choose whether you want to buy them or not to be use them in your class. So, young children as learners of English. Picture books help tutors and teachers to provide young learners with the material to develop their linguistic competence, intercultural awareness, and cognitive skills by inviting them to engage in a rich narrative world. Picture books require the interpretation of both the visual and the verbal components of a book. So, I hope that you're ready, because we are going to start working with the activity. I'm going to show you the activity that I have proposed or that I come up to show you today. Can you see the change in the screen, Family Unity now? Yes, good. So if you have been following all the different presentations, you know that Denise showed you how to use Genially. So I decided to say, okay, let's take from her presentation, and I'm going to show you how you can even integrate a little bit of technology to this design of a class. So what I did was to use an infographic, and I created a series of activities that you need to move into different stops, okay, for you to tackle a class. So when we work with children, apart from working with the book in particular, we can create a whole narrative. So my narrative was based on the different goals. Remember that when we talked about inequality and the idea of quality education. So since this is a class meant for children, I said, maybe starting talking about inequality right away was not the best way. So I thought, how can I present this topic to a child? And then I said, okay, we can talk about inequality from their surroundings. Let's talk first about the local before you go to the global. So talking about or understanding inequality within the family will make it easier for them to analyze their surroundings. So how can we all contribute to family unit? So this is the beginnings, okay, of the task. So my first stop is who's Anthony Browne. So we are going to start reading a text by Anthony Browne, and he is a British author. He is an excellent let's say, designer and illustrator and writer. So I strongly recommend all of his books. I strongly recommend that you work with them. And you can see that this is Britannica Kids, okay? So the idea is that students can start gathering information about the author in a way that is easy for them to comprehend and to understand. Once they have this knowledge, we're going to start moving, okay? And we're going to start working with the book in itself. Are you familiar with Picturebook by Anthony Brownie? Okay, some of you. Okay, great. So, sorry, I moved to somewhere else. Later on, I am going to show you, okay, what the book is about. But we are going to see the book in a minute in the format of a PPT so that you can see it. But I already have the video prepared for you to see it. So as I mentioned before, we are going to start working with the cover of the book that is called Picturebook. And here you can see the mother that is giving a piggyback, okay, to all the members of the family. So we are going to start this with something very simple. What's the meaning of piggyback? Okay, remember, we are teaching a language at the same time. So can you see someone giving a piggyback to other people in the cover book? So you can encourage your students to look for this word in the dictionary. You can, represent that yourself with your body language, and that's how they can gather the meaning of the book. Then it says, can you give a piggyback to several people? See, this question moves from the linguistic into something that appeals to the emotions. How would you feel if you have 3 other people on top of you? Also, it's like, how do these characters feel? If you want, remember when we talked about the abilities for the 21st century, something else that we could add is that these abilities should help students also read digital texts. Digital texts appeal to the words as well as the visuals. So these books will pave the way for them to understand those much more complex texts. So what is very rich in this cover is to see the position, to see the frame, to see the faces. So the mother has a sadder face, the male members of the family are smiling. They are the male members are the ones that are about to break the frame, okay, while she's going lower and lower. So that is telling me a lot about the concept of family unity. Before we continue, we may need to start, pre-teaching certain vocabulary. So for instance, I started an activity, a very simple activity on EducaPlay. I don't know if you're familiar with that educational platform, but if not, EducaPlay is very useful to create different type of activities, okay? And it's free, so you can use it as much as you want. And the idea with this is to start pre-teaching certain vocabulary related to household chores. Again, we are still thinking about the local, okay? Remember that we're working with kids. We need to start understanding unity from their families, okay? And how different chores are distributed in the family. So here is the book that I generally like to use a PPT so that I can start writing things down, okay? Good. Then if you need the links, okay, to the people who said I want to give it a try, believe me, it's very simple. You can contact me, I can help you. So if you want the links, then you can tell me. We're going to go a little bit fast because we won't have enough time to focus on every single detail. But something that is very important about this book is understanding the shapes and colors apart from the words that are written down. So from the presentation of the book, here it says, this is the family, okay? And this is a Pigot family. We can see the parents, we can see the children. And if we were in a class with kids, children automatically will say, where is the mother? Okay, because at least here in Argentina, that would be very striking. And in the verbal mode, they say, inside the house was a wife. Like, she's just a passing by comment, like, not so important. And then during a common meal time, that is breakfast, we can see everyone waiting to be served, okay? They're actually, if you look at the faces of the kids, even the newspaper is like, everyone is shouting like, okay, mom, we want our breakfast, okay? And the mom, okay, notice the change of colors, notice that she is not addressing, let's say, the reader, is faceless, colorless. So we know that she was preparing breakfast things. She made all the beds. She was vacuuming the carpets, and then she went off to work. We go back to the male members of the family. So again, they are demanding, okay, we want to be served. Like, we came back from our important school, our important job. Now we want dinner time, okay? So they had dinner, and then once again, the routine of the mom started. Again, notice a change in colors, again, emotionless, colorless, faceless. As soon as they had eaten, Mrs. Pigot washed the dishes, washed the clothes, did the ironing, and then cooked breakfast. And while the members of the family were just relaxing after a long day. So something that you can do at this stage is to stop the reading and to have a list of all the activities, of all the chores. And again, this is vocabulary that we introduced with the vocabulary activity before. And children can start, ticking down, okay, wash the dishes. Who was in charge of that? Mother. Make beds, mother. Vacuum the carpets, the mother. So you will see that all the actions that are there were actually carried out by the mom. At this stage, none of the ticks will go to the father and the kids. Then change happened. It says, one evening when the boys got from school, there was no one to greet them. Where is mom? Demanded Mr. Pigot when he got from work. And they found this letter on the mantelpiece saying that she had left, okay? Like, you are pigs, so I don't want this anymore. And you can see how Anthony Brownie, for instance, represents that the mother has, because even you can see like the expressions, okay, there are pigs, okay, all over the mantelpiece, the paper wall, and we're like, this is like a very important moment in the story. And at this moment is when the male members of the family that go through a process of metamorphosis, they have to start cooking, okay, for themselves. They have to start doing all the household chores by themselves. And we can see that they are not being very successful, okay? So basically, everything starts turning into some sort of pig, okay? We can see pigs everywhere. And when they are living in a complete disarray, the female member of the family, the mom, comes back, okay? And you can see this type of shape, okay? That some people tend to associate this, some sort of like a virgin mother, like coming back, trying to save people. So in this case, you have the mom that is listening to the members of the family said, please come back. So, and at the end of the story, they start distributing the tasks. So we have Mr. Pigot washing the dishes, then the kids making the beds, Mr. Pigot also ironing. They sometimes cook, and they say that sometimes they sort of like it. And mom was happy too, because she could fix the car, that it seems that it's something that she liked, okay? So once again, going back to the concept of family unity, we can continue with this chart that because of time purposes, I just inserted this paper here, but you can also do this interactively, okay? There are different applications that can help you check comprehension very quickly. And you can see that if you ask the students to tick all the different activities, like wash the dishes, here we have the father. Make beds, you have the kids. Vacuum the carpets, we do not have much information about that. Wash the clothes, we don't have much information about that. Iron the clothes, that was the father. Cook the meals, that is something that all of them did. And fix the car, mom. So already with the ticks, you can see that there has been a distribution of tasks, okay? So with this, we have the first stop and the second stop that involves the story. Now we need to start thinking, okay, about this concept of unity. And we have these two activities: vacuuming the carpets and washing the dishes. As I mentioned before, there is no member of the family who has been assigned this type of tasks. So something that, if you go back to the idea of the 21st century skills, we mentioned the idea of creativeness, collaboration, and we can also engage our students in a speaking task and negotiation. So if you have all the members of the family, who are you going to assign each task to? So in order to simplify it, and it's not just the child telling them they have to do it, we need to set a criteria, okay? So a criteria for selecting who should be in charge of chores, okay? Since, again, this was a criteria that should be simple for children, the idea, it was to have a very simple criteria and something they could understand very easily. So we thought about 3 elements. It should be fair, okay? So no one should do too much, like the first case, like the mom, and no one should be doing too little, okay? Like, well, since the mom in the past used to do a lot, now all the the male members of the family should do everything. That is going to create another, let's say, source of uncomfortable. So we need to consider now, how can we distribute this fairly? And we can do that very easily by checking, okay, the ticks that we have presented in the chart. Then it says ability, a person should be able to do it. Okay, so if you have a very small child in the family, you cannot ask the child to vacuum the floors, okay? But maybe if they are teenagers, maybe they can do it, okay? So ability to do so, and if this is safe. For instance, for very young kids to cook and like without supervision, that can be a little bit problematic, or it may lead to problems. So we are going to choose older members of the family. So by having this type of criteria, the idea is that you can have your students in small groups, and they will have to tick, okay, the 2 activities that are left, and they will have to tell us whether the father, the mother, or the kids are like the most suitable people to perform these jobs, okay? So since we are tackling the global and the local, sorry, now we're going to start moving into the 4th stop. So, and this is like the knowledge taken from the school, we are going to move this into the home. So we could, as teachers, as the students, okay, think about your own reality, think about your own home. So, and here you can even have the mixture of the local and the global already, because depending on the communities, okay, that in where you teach, maybe the different families will take or carry out different type of tasks, okay? So you can ask them to start listing the type of chores that they have to carry out at home. Those may be different from the ones that appear on the book, okay? Maybe they don't have carpets in their homes, they don't have vacuum cleaners, okay? So based on the activities, the idea that they have to do at home, the idea is that the child decides, okay, on one activity and says, okay, and somehow comes up with this, some sort of commitment for the week. The job I will do is, okay, and then they said, like, for instance, making my bed, I think this is the most fair job to me. So I am selecting this type of task based on a specific criteria. Like, I am going to assign this to myself because it's safe. I'm capable of doing it, okay? And I don't have another chore at home, okay? So you can see how we meet these criteria. And the idea is that the child signs that commitment, and then either the teacher or the parent can sign that commitment as well. In that way, is again, what we gain from school, we take it to the home, and it's not just a matter of words. The idea is that we are, let's say, calling for action. So it's not just thinking what looks good on paper, but we need to take a more hands-on approach. So, and with this, we need to start thinking about the school as a whole. So an activity that you can produce in this case is very similar to the one that you saw. I created a Padlet, and the Padlet is called Better Together. How can we best help at home? And I asked the students to react to this activity, creating drawings, okay? So they have to draw. So the household chores for all the family. So basically, instead of signing that sort of commitment, they drew themselves, the siblings, and the parents. Of course, they will vary, okay, depending on the members of the family. And they have to draw themselves, okay, and then write down the action. So here we can even see that they keep on being engaged with language learning, vocabulary learning, and on top of that is something that is meaningful to them because that vocabulary is being connected to their own world. And then here they did something similar, but in some sort of a chart, but also adding pictures. So this is something that is useful. Why? If you create a Padlet, as you have it here, you can place this on a virtual classroom. You can share with other members of the group. You can share it in enclosed intranet with maybe the kids, the families. And also, if this is not possible, you can use a common poster and place a production of all the students on the school. So the idea is that these, what students have learned is also spread on their local communities. And then if you wish to go a step further and make it more global, you can create, for instance, a media profile size as a whole class. Some people say media profile is not something desirable for everyone. And that's why I'm even suggesting this as a whole class. It's not a personal profile, or it's not that the child will have to create their own profile. But you can, like every single week, a student can be in charge of saying, okay, we can provide this tip to other kids in different parts of the world on how to bring their families together, how to collaborate with family unity. And another one is to set a blog. I created a blog using a Google site, okay? And Google sites are very simple to create, to craft, in case that you want to do that. And in that Google site, students started posting, okay, posting their own, let's say, activities that they did at home, the activities that the parents did at home, and the activities that their siblings did at home. And sometimes by working collaboratively with the siblings, they came up with new ideas, okay? So that is very important. And just at the end, as again, you can see that we walk all around, okay? Help in our home can bring our family together. So we can see how this story that was about inequality is a very simple story, is a story that children can relate to. We can tackle such a complex issue with very young learners. So I hope that you liked it. So, yes. Okay, I'm glad that you like the book. Okay. So this is not my project, but this is a project that I wanted to share with you. I don't know if you're familiar with iSpell. Sorry. Here. This is a very interesting project that is carried out by different universities, okay, different European universities. Here on at the back, at the bottom of the web page, you have all of them. And they have created this wonderful page. This is like a project, okay, that is co-funded by the European Union. And later on, you can, let's say, navigate the page. But something that is very interesting about this is when you have key concepts, outputs, okay? Key concepts, you will have, for instance, concepts such as picture books, intercultural literacy, global literacy, okay? What I find this to be like a great jewel is the ice kits, okay? So if you're interested in using picture books, sometimes the problem with picture books is that you feel that you don't have enough knowledge or you don't know which ones to choose. They have created so far, and they continue to create. So far, and today, that is like 7th of June, they have created 18 kits, okay? So if you later want to explore, there are, for instance, Perfectly Normal, that is about the development of the child. Then you have other ones that work with environment, acceptance, and there is even one that is called The Day War Came, that unfortunately that tackles upon a very current issue, a kind of sad and current issue. So all the material is there for you to have a look at it. So you have Clean Up. For instance, this is a very nice picture book about how to help the environment. And all the material is there for you. Of course, the books are not there. You will have to look for the book, or at least the audiobook if you want to work with them. But you can see that these ice kits, okay, what the type of outcomes, okay, the type of cycles and so on and so forth. And then you have also the language and the skill outcomes. So everything is quite ready, quite prepared for you to work with it, like listening, speaking, the different type of tasks, okay? And then you have, well, call it the toolbox. You will have like a summary of the story, what you can interpret even beyond words. And then they will start telling you how to tell the story, how to work with it stage by stage. So you can see that these are like 14 pages of different indications and suggestions of how to work with picture books in relation to global education or global citizenship education. So I hope that you find that one very useful. So apart from that one, even here in Argentina, we have the Beacon experience, okay, that's later on we can address Canva, okay, and you can even have the educational account that is actually very good. So the Beacon experience, some of you may be familiar with Griselda Beacon, okay? She is an Argentinian educator, teacher educator, and she tells lots of stories. So you can visit her site, you can conversate with her, communicate, and she also gives you tips on how to work with different topics that are current social topics, okay? The idea, again, is to try to promote education for peace. And this is a very interesting resource that is called Storyline, Okay. This is launched by the SAGS, okay, which is the Society for Actors in the United States. And I love it because you have actors who have been trained on how to use intonation, how to use words, and they have different types of books, and every single book is read aloud by a different actor. So you have a multiplicity of topics there. And even this is a very nice resource if you don't want to be the one reading the book to the child, and they pause and they create different type of voices. So the reading is very, very rich. So, and if you're teaching American English, this is great, really is. It's very enjoyable. It's going to be enjoyable for you as a teacher and for the students as well. So, and again, they are free and they are recorded. So it's just push play and you will have all the story told there for you. So you can see that there are close-ups of the book. It's not just the story. You can decide whether you want to keep the script there or just to have it as a listening activity. But the important thing is that, again, these can be easily integrated into a classroom. The choices that you make, whether you will have a paper base, whether you will book, or you're going to have a video, will also depend on the type of resources that you have at hand, okay? But there are different resources today that they can be used for this purpose. So the important thing is that if you want to tackle topics such as global citizenship education, the skills for the 21st century, you always need to find quality picture books, okay? And there are tons of those. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation. I hope I didn't rush too much. I'm sorry that it was very short. Maybe you wanted even more examples, but I am more than willing to help you or to share anything with you. This is my email account. So if you want to stay in touch, email me and we can share ideas and we can work together with whatever you need, okay? So some of you were asking me things.
Thank you, Cecilia. This has been great. Everyone is, showing appreciation and thanking you because you have shared so much and you have shared all the links. I don't know if you want to share the link to the Genially presentation. I don't know if it is public.
Sure. Yes, it is public.
So maybe you can share the Genially link. That would be awesome. I think it's especially, these stories by Anthony Browne. In 2020, you also shared stories with Susana Liruso, remember in your presentation with stories by him. And as you said, this is not just for children. We could surely find ways to use the same picture books with adults to make them aware of all these issues. So thank you very much. You're posting there all your links. And thank you for sharing this genially, because everything is there.
Yes, definitely. So I hope that you find it useful. If you want to use it in your classes, go ahead. Most probably you will have to make changes to adapt it to your own circumstances, your own educational institution, but go ahead, no problem with that.
Yes, and I particularly didn't know about this I spell, and I didn't know. I didn't know storyline either. So this has been really enlightening. And I loved this step 4 of your presentation, where the child, signs a commitment. And that definitely is really, taking action. And I can imagine,
definitely.
Yes. the picture books that you mentioned also for raising awareness about climate change, you know, or pollution and all the climate issues. Also signing, you know, a commitment, that would be great, like a pledge, you know, that the kids could sign. So many ideas. I hope all of you who have been participating have, you know, taken away. I feel very excited because I have taken away so many things, Cecilia. Thank you.
Welcome.
And I guess everyone is also saying the same thing. So
good.
Thank you.
I just wish the last element that some people commented on, that is the use of Canva.
Yes.
And you can create your own picture books using Canva. So if you're not familiar with it, I strongly recommend it. Okay, so you can use Canva to design a lot of things. There's another element. And Canva has a specific account for educators. So you can ask for that, because some people say, I don't have the money to pay for it. I don't pay for it either, but you have to send a certificate, okay, in which you actually acknowledge that you are a teacher, and they give you an educational account, and it has lots of wonderful features. So that's another thing, because sometimes we will have to accommodate, or maybe sometimes linguistically speaking, we have to accommodate the content of a picture book, and Canva will help you allow to do that, okay? As another, it's quite similar to Genially, but it has other purposes and other features as well. Mm-hmm.
Cecilia, somebody is saying that they could not get all the links that you shared.
Okay.
Could you post again the Genially?
Definitely. So here you have
we
the
are also,
Genially.
yes, okay. Mm-hmm.
You have Ducaplay. Well, the Anthony Brownie, I don't think that you need it. Oh, this is what the one of I spell. I spell kits.
We have also posted in the chat the link to download your certificate. First, you complete a form, a feedback form, and then you can download your certificate. Thank you. You put them all together. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think I hope that you can see them now. Okay.
Yes, yes, it's much better because they are all together. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
So I don't know if is there any other question that's.
It's been awesome. And before we say goodbye, I want to invite you to join us next Tuesday. Remember that we get together every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. here in Argentina. And next Tuesday, June 14, we are having Gonzalo Diaz, who has been a part of teaching capacity building since 2020, and he will be presenting authentic learning, curiosity-based learning, and connections-based learning, 3 pillars in English language teaching. So please join us so we continue learning and growing in our journeys as teachers. Helping our students, helping to offering our students better learning experiences, because that in fact is why we are here. We all want to grow, to help our students grow. So thank you very much, Cecilia. Thank you, Nori Sarda, for supporting us every week from the embassy. And thank you all the participants for joining us. And we'll be seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.